Welcome to Home Built Workshop. Welcome to Wednesday Live. Let's do this. What's going on? Hope you guys are all off to having a great day. Everything is going well here as we get settled in. Let's see. Sam's here. Sam says hello, everyone. Paul's here too. Paul says hello, all. Harry Dude, what's up, everyone? Right on. Good morning or good afternoon, if that's what it is in your part of the world, or evening. Actually, I think we've got all of the we've got the entire world covered right now as far as times, I think. That's awesome. That is awesome. And Neptune's here. Neptune says hello, everyone. And a coffee cheers to all of you. Be Blessed is here. Woo, gives a wave. Paul says, Jeff saw the plate joining video. Like your jig for doing it. Well, thanks, man. That is, I can't take credit for that. The method of wedging the plates into place, that is, I got that from Eric Schaefer in his online guitar building course. That's the way he does it, and I decided to give it a shot on the first guitar, and it worked out awesome. So I got to give credit to Eric Schaefer for that. So, but it works really well. It's really pretty simple. I've seen some really complicated jigs for doing that, and you may have seen the kind of old school way where you like wrap it with, I don't know, you wrap it with some sort of a cord or string of some sort, and then you wedge in little wedges, and it draws everything tight. Kind of a spin on that maybe, but it works really well. And Dallo's here. Dallo, good morning. Let's see, Reverend Lars says, hello, Jeff, and everyone here. What's going on? Good morning to you. Robert's here. Hello, peoples. Sam says, how many tool companies have the quad battery chargers? I have no idea, to be honest with you. I know I've seen a few from a few of the different manufacturers, but I don't know how many do. Nicholas says, hey, what's up, Nicholas? Be Blessed says, you make that paddle. Yes, I'm going to get to that in a minute. And I want to know what you guys are working on. So let me know. What projects are on your bench? Let's see. Sam says, giving yourself a wedgie isn't it good for you? No, it's never good. And Rogue's here. Rogue says, hey, fancy seeing you. Off today. Right on. I'm glad you can tune in. Very nice. It's awesome. Always good to get a day off, huh? Paul says, yeah, Eric Schaefer builds some nice instruments. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And he's from Pennsylvania. I'd love to get out that way one time and go visit him. Be Blessed says, cool. Let's see. Sim12 says, hi from the UK. Great workshop. Hey, thank you, my friend. Welcome. How's everything in the UK? UK representing today. Right on, right on. So, what is on my workbench for today? Well, you may have seen in the thumbnail. If you did, I'm working on the acoustic guitar now. Last week, if you remember, I was working on this guy. Working on this paddle, and it turned out awesome. We put this thing to use two days ago, I think. And yeah, I finished editing the video for it, and it's going to be out this weekend. If you want to see how I made this guy, as well as some of the shenanigans that that ensued leading up to this build. But yeah, this thing worked out awesome. First time I ever made a paddle, and yeah, it worked great. Got the finish all on there. I think last week, I hadn't shaped the handle yet, I believe. But yeah, got that finished up and spent most of the weekend on and off getting the finish applied. Tried to follow the manufacturer's instructions. So it took a little while getting this on there. They called for 3 coats, at least 3 coats. I have 4 on here, and you have to wait like 4 hours in between. and then once you're all done, you have to give it a full 24 hours. So I tried to do that. Wanted to stick to at least their requirements, and yeah, it took a while, but it turned out great. Really, really pleased with this thing. Now I need a canoe. I need to build a canoe. Be Blessed says, had a little monsoon activity finally. Yeah, we had some of that. Well, some of that is what led to the making of this. So, you'll know. I talk about it a little bit. I did tried a little different style. You'll see it when the video comes out. Leading up to building this, like explaining the story and why we're building this, and just having some fun with my daughter. And it was awesome. But yeah, we've had some of that. It has been, the last few days has been really hot here. It was 94 degrees here yesterday, and I'm not sure what it's supposed to be today, but yeah, it finally feels a little bit like summer. Sam said it'd be awesome to watch the live streams in 4K. I probably would, well, not anywhere in the near future. I will probably not ever try to stream in 4K. I shouldn't say not ever, but not anytime soon. Just because, I don't know. I have two cameras that'll record in 4K, but I don't have the internet to support uploading a live stream in 4K. So I don't see that happening anytime soon. But I don't know. Yes, it would be nice. I've seen some pretty high quality streams, and it is definitely pretty cool. I got my foot stuck in the seat. Hang on, there we go. But yeah, I don't have mainly my limiting factor is internet, so I just don't have internet speeds to support a live 4K feed. That's a lot of data that's got to be uploaded. Be Blessed says, nice paddle. Whack yourself upside the head. See if it passes the test. I don't really want to do that. That would hurt. Nicholas says, what did you use for a finish? I just used some spar urethane, spar varnish, really. Like I said, 4 coats. I think I have 5. I sort of lost track. I think I have 5 on the end. We did have it in the water the other day, and it didn't get too banged up. Of course, we don't really have a rocky ground where we're using this, but I don't see hasn't been any negative effects so far. We probably used it for, I don't know, an hour or so. But yeah, just a simple spar urethane, mainly because that's what I could get around here. Let's see here. So there you go, Nicholas. Spar varnish. Robert says, I had to mow the yard yesterday. It was really wetter than I like. Had a lot of rain. I've been getting a lot of rain about every other day. It was really high. Had damp water showing on the wheel tracks. Yeah, maybe a month and a half ago, one of my mowings, I tried to mow right after we'd gotten a really hard rain, and I ran into a few spots where I couldn't see the water on the ground through the grass, but once I started cutting, the blades were in water, and I had to raise the deck up. I got to get some mowing done around here. With this last few decent days we've had here, some of our grass is getting kind of tall, so I got to get after that. Be Blessed says 94 is cool. Yeah, from like desert, it would be cool. I imagine. But here it's starting to get pretty warm here. Let's see, Brian's here. Brian says, hello everyone. I hope you have all been well the past few weeks. It's been hot here the past week or so, too hot to be in the shop. We had 94 temps yesterday as well, but AC is rare in Germany. Yeah, we finally hit 94 as well. So we're like twins, weather twins. Yeah, we hit 94 yesterday, and I finally had to, we don't have central air or anything. We just have, like the window AC units, and I finally had to dig that out and get that thing in because it was like 84 in the house. I was editing video, so I was sitting being like, pretty still at the computer, just working away, and hadn't realized how hot it got. But when I finished the edit and I started the render process, I got up and I started walking away from the computer, and I'm like, man, this is like an oven in here. So I had to go get the AC out, and now it's cranking away and not doing too bad. But I guess I didn't realize, or I didn't know, that AC is not that common. Brian, do you have like AC in shopping centers or stores or something, or is that pretty uncommon as well? You know how here you go to the grocery store in the summertime and it's like 10 degrees in there. It feels like the AC in the store is so low. When it's really hot, it feels good, but yeah, I didn't know that it's not all that common. Interesting. See, I love learning stuff like that from you guys. Robert says it's flooding over the west of town of Kingfisher, and my sister lives west of there, I'm guessing. She's supposed to have a doctor's appointment in OKC, Oklahoma City today. Man, I hope you don't encounter any bad roads or something. Yeah, just be safe out there. That's crazy. Flooding. We did have part of the backstory to this was some of the torrential rains that we had here, and we do still have a couple roads closed around our area. Some of the more I don't know. I guess you'd call them back roads, the little smaller dirt roads and stuff that have washed out, and they're still working on some of those. Thankfully, it's nothing that I encounter on most of our travels. They're kind of farther out into the more even more rural areas, but yeah, we've had some roads washing out. Wow. Oh, I must have had I'm catching up on comments. Like a whole flood just came in. I don't know if the thing was lagging or what. I'll be blessed as come on, do it. I hit myself in the head. No. I hit my head enough. I don't need to hit myself in the head on purpose. Paul says, catch a bunch of rabbits and attach aluminum foil to their ears. They should help with the Wi-Fi issues. We do have lots of rabbits here. Lots of wild rabbits. Always around the yard. And there's a pasture on the other side of us. Pretty good sized one. There's jackrabbits over there. And some of those dudes are pretty big. Be blessed as he's a joiner. Reverend Lars says, currently working on an LP style acoustic thin line. Just can't decide if I want to put in a Fishman Neo D magnetic sound hole pickup, humbucking, or just a piezo. What do you think, Jeff and everyone? Let's see here. Les Paul acoustic thin line. I almost think if it was me, I've not built one that style. So I'm just kind of speculating, let's call it. I almost think I'd go with the Fishman. I feel like the chance of being able to get more usable sounds would be higher using that style of pickup rather than just a piezo. But I guess it depends on really what you want to do with it. I like to have a little bit of versatility. I don't do anything super crazy. Even most of the time when I have coil split, I never use the coil split. So I end up figuring, why did I even put it on there? But it depends. It depends on what you're going for. But I feel like you can't go wrong with a Fishman. I've not used that particular pickup either, but uh-oh, siren's going by. Always a siren going by. So, Reverend Lars, I think that would be my take. I'd probably opt for the Fishman because, like you said, if it's humbucking, so you're going to keep that that noise down, and I feel like it might give you more versatility, depending on how you wire it. Really, I'm not 100% sure, but that's kind of the way I'm leaning if I had to make that choice right at this second. Scott's here. Scott says, "Hey guys." Nicholas says, "Cool, thanks." Be Blessed says glued together. What's glued together? Oh, I think I missed something there. Paul says going to build 3 guitars from bodies that aren't selling for consignment to a local store. Yeah, that's a good way to. You got some bodies that have been sitting around, throw them together, make a whole guitar out of it. Sometimes that'll work a little bit better. Let's see. Oh, everything's scrolled down. Be Blessed says, I don't mow. Yeah, you don't need to mow like too much in the desert area. Sam says Sam's got the silicone LED light tape in the bathroom. I believe it's got to be IP65 rating, and it fits the mini trunk and well. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm glad you got it up and everything working. Be Blessed says, any ideas for my yucca hiking sticks? What kind of ideas are you looking for? Robert says, currently it's 84, supposed to get to 97 today. That's starting to get up there. Harry Dude says, warm. I remember warm. You'll be there soon, my friend. A few months, and we'll be done with it, and you can have it back. Be Blessed says, gotta go. Right on, Be Blessed. Well, glad you could stop in. Have an awesome day. Sam says, most UK homes don't have AC unless the owners buy one out of personal option. Huh. Yeah, I didn't know that. Is that, I wonder if that's more of a Western US thing? Paul says, took wifey on a motorcycle ride this past weekend. She had fun, even with the brief rain we encountered. That's awesome. Nothing like a good motorcycle ride. Something I haven't had a motorcycle in quite a few years, and I would like to get another one. Brian says, AC is rare everywhere. It's starting to come around a bit more. Shopping centers are still hot, but some companies are realizing how much nicer it is. They claim the cost is too high for AC. Huh. Yeah, that would be it. That would be a different kind of experience, I think. To walk into the grocery store and it's, roasting in there. Just not something I've experienced. Be Blessed says, bye-bye, back to work. Right on. Well, have an awesome day. Brian says, take care, be blessed. Richard says, how about from drum into banjo? Ooh. I like that idea. You can go to like the secondhand shop and buy a super cheap drum set and build a banjo out of it. Ooh, that's a great idea. I would love to build a banjo. Paul says install a piezo in or near the bridge and add the fishman also. That's a good idea. Yeah, have both. I like that better than my original. I retract my previous statement. I like that idea better. Then you can have a switch, even more available sound options. I like that. Be Blessed says, bye, Brian. Be Blessed says, ow. Peace. Let's see here. Rogue says, siren going by. Bad neighborhood, Jeff? Sounds like North Philly outside. No, it is absolutely not a bad. I don't live in a bad area. Except for the busy road that is right close to the house. That's the worst part. Not because it's bad. There's just always some sort of a car crash, or I don't know. Sometimes it's just a random ambulance, so maybe some sort of medical situation. But all the time, there's a fire station. I mean, I could be there in like a minute from the house. So every time there's a call, their direct route is right down their little street and then on past us here. So it's just the route that they take most of the time to get to where they need to go. And unfortunately, they always got to go past. So, yeah, there's lots of sirens. So Rogue, nope, not a bad neighborhood, just a bad route, I guess. Robert says, may want to use both the Fishman and the piezo. Yes, I still like that. Sam says if you got a glue stick around. make sure I'm on live here. I feel like I'm missing some stuff. There we go. That's better. Okay, Campfire Custom Guitars is just dropping by to say, hey, what's going on? Good morning. Oh, I forgot to get into where I'm at on the acoustic. I showed you the pedal, but I didn't show you what I'm working on currently, which is the acoustic. We'll get to that in a second. Let me catch up on your comments here, but keep them coming. Robert says, be blessed. Sorry, don't use Facebook. Yeah, that's why I'm thinking I missed something. All right. Paul says, install piezo inner. Oh, I already read that. These comments are like scrolling all over the place. So if I repeat one, sorry about that, or missed one, like it just all of a sudden has been scrolling awkwardly. Let's see. Heritage says, I wouldn't bother with a passive piezo. Install active preamp as well, like the Fishman. Had customers complain about passive piezos. One thing that I have used on several cigar box guitar builds, are those little piezo discs. So those would be passive, right? And I know there's other passive systems, but those little piezo discs, while they work really well, as far as picking up sounds, they tend to pick up, and I'm not sure if that's even what you're talking about, but what I've noticed is they're noisy, but not like they generate their own noise kind of thing. Any touching or movement on the body of the guitar tends to get picked up. So like if your finger is sliding along, just handling noise, it picks them up a lot, and that's one thing that I don't really like about the little discs anyway. But I think a little bit better, a better piezo system would definitely help with that. Maybe not. I don't know. Sam says, forgot to mention that the silicone LED tape is all fully controlled by Philips Hue app. Yeah, you mentioned that you were going to use the Philips Hue app. So it's kind of cool. You go into the bathroom and you can set the mood for your, I don't know. Richard says, great videos. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Paul says, I don't own a car myself, so motorcycle is my year-round transport. Just glad she finally feels comfortable enough to ride with me. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I would say you live in an area where you can definitely get away with riding a motorcycle. You're mild enough in the winter, I would say most of the time. Yeah, here it would be a challenge, especially in the wintertime. Robert says, with the heat wave we have here in the USA, the AC is almost necessary for food stores to help reduce waste. Yeah, that's a good point. Sam says you can make a multi-guitar storage cabinet on caster wheels. That kind of a project has been on my mind for quite a while. Those folding guitar racks, I don't even know who makes them, on-stage stands or something like that. I have a 5 guitar rack, one of those 5 guitar deals. And I've thought about building a bigger one. I think that'd be a cool project. Just haven't gotten to it yet. But yes, I think that would be awesome. Kind of a sort of a road case type of thing, except not a road case, because I don't really need a road case. Richard says a high impedance. Yeah, the little piezo ones, I believe. Brian says, it's true. Until the past about 10 years, Germany has only had a handful of hot days, but recently we've had more upper 80s and 90s and very little rain during the summer months. Yeah, our weather has been so weird in the last few years, really, here. But this year has been like a total flip-flop of years past. It's very strange. He says, I haven't mowed the lawn in over a month. It's probably been 3 weeks for me, and it could have used it about a week and a half ago. Heritage says, even piezos mounted in the bridge with no preamps are noisy and weak. Preamp all the way. the disc style ones are also used in electronic drum pads. Yeah, I've seen some really neat stuff done with those, with the disc ones. And like I said, I've used them in, I don't know, half a dozen different cigar box guitars. But it's just like I mentioned, the only downside that makes me really hesitate to use them is all the handling noise that you get. So I've been kind of moving away from those on the last few CBG builds. Paul says, yeah, I have a few issues with weather. Mostly just idiots in cars. Those darn cars. Brian says, funny but true. Sam says, be cool if you could make a guitar-shaped vehicle chassis and make a guitar vehicle for summertime driving. That would be cool too. Like a guitar buggy or something. That would be cool. Speaking of guitars, let me show you where I'm at on the acoustic. Let me see if I can grab this without breaking stuff here. All right. So, since I've finished this guy gets set aside. Oh, and Harry Dude, I didn't screw it up too badly, so it's not going to become a guitar. But I've moved back to working on the rosette. I am almost ready to get it installed. So here is my rosette. It's end grain elm, end grain with all of the grain lines going to the center. So got that put together. This took a little bit of time trying to get everything fit, but I'm pretty happy with it. So then yesterday evening, I got the recess all routed. I could pop this in there right now. I'm not going to because I got to be able to get it back out. The only thing I need to do now, let's see. Yeah, see, that'll stay. I got the recess for this done. And then this morning, just before I went live, I made up some maple purfling. This is about 1 millimeter thick. I'm going to use that to wrap around the rosette on both the inside and the outside. So now that I have this made up, I can go back in with my circle cutting jig and increase this size, both the inner and outer diameter ever so slightly to fit the purfling, and then we're going to get this thing glued in. And this cedar has a really nice smell. It's kind of fun to work with. Not like your typical, like aromatic cedar, but it smells really nice. But that's where I'm at. So I'm hoping that by lunch today, lunch for me anyway, I'll have the rosette glued in, and then I can get that leveled out. We'll cut out the sound hole, and that'll probably wrap up episode number 2 of acoustic guitar build number 2. So that's where I'm at on that. This guy, I took a chance. And really only because I'd never done it before, but I cut this out on the CNC machine, and it worked great. I was a little nervous. I thought maybe if something went wrong, it would explode it or something like that, and I'd have to spend, half a day making another one. But I said, well, we're not going to know till we know, so let's do it. And I almost cut this out on the CNC as well, but I thought, yeah, no, because, well, number one, if I screwed up the program, I'd screw up the whole piece. But it really came down to, I wanted to be able to fit these exact. If I cut that out to an exact dimension and I didn't get this size right, then I'd have a little bit more issues. I just felt a little more comfortable doing that part myself and then not having the machine do it yet. But yeah, it's coming along pretty good. I'm pretty pleased so far. Richard says, how about a cigar box violin? That would be super cool. It would. I mean, I don't know how to play a violin or anything like that, But that would be a cool idea. I like that. I'm gonna have to look into that. I wonder how hard that would be. Really, I can't imagine it'd be all that bad. Huh? Dallas says a radial one. Cool. Yeah, this thing, it looks cool. Let's see. Where's my pencil mark? So right here, that's the bottom where there's sort of a book match. So that's going to be the bottom of the the bottom of the rosette. Yeah, this is my first time making a radial rosette. Originally, I was not going to do it, but I thought, let's just go for it. So yeah, really like how it turned out. All the grain lines kind of go to the center. It's pretty cool. And this is all end grain. So if you've ever made a rosette, you know, it's really easy to line up the radial pieces, soak it with CA glue, you know, and basically be done with it. But since this is end grain, I didn't want to use CA glue because I didn't want that glue to wick down in there. So I had to glue each one with wood glue. So, you know, a piece of tape to hold it together, and then I folded it up, applied the glue, folded it back out. It took a little bit of time. This is a test that I did with some scrap material. I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not. This is glued with CA glue, and you can see I've glued it and then ran it through the drum sander quite a few times. You can still see a little bit of CA, like a little bit of staining in some areas where the glue soaked down into the end grain. Right here especially, you can see it. And I didn't want that on my finished rosette. That's why I ended up using wood glue. Because it is end grain, I wasn't sure how that was going to react. So yeah, wood glue for this, and it worked great. Just enough to hold it together with barely any squeeze out, because like I said, I didn't want it to soak down in to the end grain. I don't know how well you can see this thing here. Probably can't see the actual end grain pores. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see, but yeah, I'm happy with the way it turned out. Sam says, does a guitar have to actually be guitar shaped for good sound quality? While I am no scientist when it comes to the shape of a guitar, but I have seen some pretty wildly shaped acoustic guitars, and I don't know. I think it comes down more to the construction techniques than it does to the actual shape. I've seen square ones made, acoustic, or mostly square, you know, and they sounded really good. Now, if we're talking about electrics, I would say no, absolutely not. I don't think the shape really makes one lick of difference as far as sound. You could build an electric guitar out of pretty much any shaped thing, and it's gonna sound good, as long as you know you've got most of your sound is going to come from the electronics, and that basically eliminates any chance of the shape making a difference. Some people argue that fact, but as far as an acoustic guitar goes, I mean, I can't say with as much certainty, but I have seen some very different shaped instruments, and they sounded fine to me. Robert says, when I was in college, one of my classmates rode a motorcycle. One trip he told me about was in the winter in Colorado. When he had got to the destination, they had to chip ice from his hands to take his out. Wow, I can imagine that. Yeah, in the winter, I wouldn't want to be on a motorcycle most of the time in the winter here. You know, 10 degrees out. I used to ride dirt bikes a lot, you know, growing up, and you know, winter time didn't matter, but it was more for fun. You know, you're riding out in the fields and trails and things, but I couldn't imagine actually going on a trip, you know, 10 degrees, whatever. That would just be super cold. Brian says, if interested, there was an amazing sprint finish to today's stage of the Tour de France. Really? I didn't even realize that was going on. I used to follow the Tour de France very closely back in the day. I used to also ride bikes a lot, mostly mountain bike, but yeah, I used to follow that a lot. Way back in the day when Greg LeMond was still running, remember him? He was always my favorite and who I was cheering for. I don't know whatever happened to him. I wonder if he's still. I don't know. I can't imagine he's still racing, but yeah. Wow. Sam's number two. Yeah. Same here, buddy. Robert says, have you thought about dyeing the ring of the sound hole before you install it? Maybe a red or orange color. Not. I haven't. No, but that would be an interesting. The challenge I think that I would have with that, and I'm not saying it can't be done because I believe it totally could, but I'd have to come up with something. Typically, when you get like a dyed veneer, or you can buy the dyed purfling strips, those things are somehow soaked in the dye. I don't know if it's in a vacuum, so it pulls it into the wood. I kind of feel like that's what they do. The dye goes all the way through the material, so the whole thing is it's colored all the way through. If I were to dye this with just water-based dye, or even any kind of dye really, a lot of that is going to be on just the surface. Now, since this is end grain, I do believe some of it would probably soak down in there. Where I see a little bit of a challenge is once you glue this in, this is still going to be proud of the top, and you have to sand that down. So when you sand it, I think that would expose, it would remove some of the dye, so it would still look wood. I think in order for that to work, and I could be wrong, I think you'd have to dye it like with a vacuum or something so that the dye goes all the way through, and when you sand it down, you're not removing the dye, and then I think it would work awesome. But I think that would be my challenge, is getting the dye to go all the way through the piece so that when I sand it down, I don't remove the dye. Because I wouldn't want to try to dye it once it's glued in. That doesn't sound cool. But if anybody knows how they do that, the dyed veneers and the dyed purflings and all that, do they use a vacuum? Because you could get a little, like a pressure pot, put your pieces in there, hook a vacuum. I have a vacuum gauge. That'd be kind of a cool way to make your own cool, like dyed purflings and stuff. And yes, I think stuff like that would be a cool opportunity to add some color, some I don't know, some pops of color to your build. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I kind of like that. So, Robert, I like that idea, but it's not something that I have considered mainly for those reasons. But if I did get a, you could get a cheap pressure pot from like Harbor Freight or something, and I bet you could hook the vacuum pump to it, pull a vacuum on the pot, and dye pieces in there. It would probably work pretty good. Paul says, remember, if you mess up, inlays hide mistakes. Yes, they do. Or you just have to go and make wider purfling because you went too far or something like that. Don't worry, I still got a long ways to go. There's still going to be plenty of opportunities for me to add inlays. Richard says, thank you. Paul says, no, shape doesn't matter. Volume, internal body size of the body, wood type bracing, amount of glue, and the type. Yes, I believe it. I believe that it comes down to construction techniques, right, and the methods and materials that you use. You know, the size and the bracing and all of that, that will change the tone, change the sound, how much the box vibrates. But yeah, I really don't think the shape matters. You could make it, I imagine, any shape. Like I said earlier, somebody will probably challenge me on that, and that's okay. I'm working on my second acoustic. I don't have a ton of of acoustic experience under my belt, but I understand how it all works, sort of. And yeah, you think you can make it any shape. It doesn't even have to be guitar shaped. And it's more so how flexible the plates are and how you brace it and everything. Brian says the tour is on stage 11 and they will finish on the 23rd. I might have to see if I can catch a stage or two. And Henry's here. Henry says, morning. Good morning, Henry. How are you this fine Wednesday? Adala says, what type of bracing pattern will you go for this time? I'm going to use, again, just the standard X bracing, just like I did on the first acoustic. I'm not changing this up. I'm using this more as a chance to hone in on a couple pieces that were a bit of a struggle the last time around. So I'm going to build it exactly the same. I'm using the same molds, the same bracing pattern. I'm just changing materials, a little bit of the thicknesses of things here and there, but not really doing a whole lot different this time around. I was going to show. I have my plan. I have the plan back there, but it's piled up with stuff at the moment. So yeah, just a standard X brace. The straight. What is it? Lattice. Is it lattice bracing on the back? X bracing on the top, your typical X brace and tone bars and all that stuff. Brian says, have a great week, everyone. My daughter made gnocchi. Sorry, I probably said that wrong. For dinner. Take care, stay safe, and have fun. Right on, my friend. I'll enjoy the dinner. That's awesome. I don't know what that is, to be honest with you, but I would try it. Right on, man. Say hi to everyone over there for me. Paul says, yes, vacuum pot to dye woods, leaving the pot until no bubbles appear. I might have to try it, because that sounds like it would be kind of cool. Like a dyed rosette, that's actually, that would be a really cool way to add a blast of color. Or even just dyed purfling. You can buy all that stuff at the store. It's not super expensive, but it's even cooler, I think, if you make your own, which is why I made my own. And I plan to do that for the rest of this build too. Make my purfling. I'm planning to make my own binding. We chatted about that, I think, last week. And yeah, you can buy rosettes. You can buy the purfling. You can buy the binding. But with the choices that I want to go with, I think I'm better off making my own. You can buy bridge blanks. You can buy all the individual pieces, but I like to try to make it. Robert says, Brian, take care. Stay safe and healthy. Nicholas says, I've wondered how they do the dyeing myself, or like the stained glass window. Oh yeah, stained glass window rosettes. I've seen some of those. Yeah, I think that's worthy of an experiment. Oh, the video's stuttering a little bit. Hope you guys don't get cut off. Yeah, I've seen some really cool ones. Another one that I really like, and you guys have probably seen it, where they take like I was trying to find some scraps or something, but like this is just the offcut from this rosette. But if you took all these little bits and you just randomly glue them together, joint to side, glue it, joint to side, glue it, so they're all like random shapes, random species of wood. Some have a little, purflings and stuff in there, and I forget what they call that. It's kind of a mosaic type of thing or something, but it's kind of random, and then it's cut out so that your lines are not all exactly the same. They're like random shapes and patterns. I think that looks kind of neat too, and probably something that I'll experiment with at some point. But yeah, I think a vacuum pot would be fun to play around with. Nicholas says maybe they're intentionally recessed, then clear coated flat. I mean, it's possible. I am not an expert in every single method of creating a rosette, but yeah, I have seen some very intricate rosettes. And if you start getting into like the classical world, which is kind of a different animal from what I've seen, I've seen some people building, their uh, rosettes and things from literally like hundreds of little sticks like this. They'll be dyed a certain different color, and they glue these things. It is so impressive. They glue these together in these little patterns of a red and a blue and a green, and it is incredible. They'll glue up a pattern piece by piece to get the desired whatever the pattern is they're going for, and then it gets cut and used for things. If you guys haven't seen that, you've got to look up some of that, and it's amazing. It's so much work. It looks like super impressive. And I'm not going for anything like that, but I've even just seen some regular rosettes that just made from different species and purflings, and it's really cool. I almost put a purfling in here. I'm kind of glad I didn't. I was gonna put one right down the center and then one right across, and then once it's all wrapped in maple, it would look like each quarter is kind of wrapped in maple. But I decided to just go with a solid piece for this one. Robert says, you might test a piece of the wood you're using for the rosette dye. Let it dry and sand to see how much dye is removed. It would work. If it would work, I would think orange would be the best. Yeah, I've got the scrap here. Well, that's saturated with CA glue, so that might not be the best option. But it's totally worth an experiment. I think everything is worthy of an experiment to some extent. I think when there's an idea, even if it sounds in your head that I don't think that's not going to work, you don't really know until you try, right? And I think we all need to experiment with stuff a little more. That's how new techniques and stuff are come up with or discovered. I got my foot stuck in this chair again. Why do I keep doing that? There's a little rung down the front of the stool that I'm sitting on, and I put my foot behind there, and then I can't get it back out. But yeah, I think I think experimenting with things, that's one of the joys of doing what we do, and just trying new things. You can watch videos all day long or read books all day long, but until you just go out and do it, you don't really know if it's going to work or how it's going to work. And I think this dyeing wood is a great opportunity where I think I want to experiment with that. And I'm going to start. Maybe I can find a used pressure pot or something, or just go to Harbor Freight and buy a cheap one. But I think we all need to experiment with stuff like that more and just figure things out. And I will always encourage it. Let's see. Henry says, moved into a small apartment, trying to figure out the best way to set up a small workshop. Right on. Yeah, I believe you can do it. Get everything packed in there and set up so that it works for you. That's awesome. Sam says, a great dual microphone webcam is a Logitech C920 Pro HD. It's 1080 at 30 frames a second. I think that's the webcam that I have. It's a Logitech. It's HD. It's 1080. I'm pretty sure it's that same one. Paul says, with the woods you're using, this is going to be a bright guitar, tone-wise. I believe it is going to be fairly bright. Now, I did talk to my friend Matt at Zimbelman Guitars, and he was the one who told me that I was talking about wood choices, and that's what he said. It's maple, it tends to be a little brighter, but he says on the guitars that he has used Port Orford cedar on, he says he feels that Port Orford's a little mellower, so maybe the mellower top and the brighter sides might be a good balance. I don't know. We're going to find out, though. But I am expecting it to be brighter. And that's not I don't think that's a bad thing. As long as it's full, I'm totally okay with the brightness. But that's exactly what I'm expecting. Scott says, what model will the acoustic be? This is another OM, um, just like the one I built uh, originally. Not doing anything different on it. Same scale length, same everything really. Just a regular old good old OM. Actually, I think what do they call this? I think they call this an auditorium model on the plan. Yeah, auditorium. I believe the difference between an auditorium and a true OM, I think, from what I could tell, is just the scale length. I believe the bodies are basically the same. This one has a 24.9. I can't see the scale at the moment. I'm pretty sure it's a 24.9-inch scale length, so a little bit shorter than an OM. OM, I believe, is 25. I can't remember. 25 and a quarter. I don't know if it's 25 and a half, but it's a tiny bit of difference. Let's see. Richard says, I've been studying how to build a violin. What is purfling, and can you show a piece? Yeah, absolutely. So, purfling, I wish I had a piece of binding here to demonstrate with you, but purfling are these thin strips that are typically used. A lot of times you don't, it's maybe a black or a black white fiber laminate. It's a thin strip that goes. I don't have a chunk of wood. What I'm going to use it for is it's used to outline a piece, right? Like, so this is my rosette that's going to be glued into the sound hole, and I'm going to use this purfling. When I install it, it's going to get wrapped around the rosette to kind of set it off from the top. I'm going to wrap it around the inside as well as the outside. And this is just maple. This is about 1 millimeter thick. Made this up myself, but you can buy this at like the luthier supply places. And you can get all different kinds, all different colors, all different, you can get real wood, which this is maple, or you can get like a fiber, kind of a fiber board, fiber laminate of some sort. It's really just a kind of a decorative thing. I'm also going to use maple binding, or not maple binding, but maple purfling, this thin stuff, to go on the inside of the binding channel. So, I'm going to use elm binding, which this is elm as well. And then this will go on the inside, and then the binding will go on the outside. It's just kind of a decorative. As far as I know, purfling is just a decorative element. I could be wrong on that, but I know the binding is there to protect the sides of the top because it's end grain, right? So it closes it in. But the purfling just adds a detail. You can use it all over the place on the build, to decorate or adorn the piece with different colors and stuff. But yeah, it's just purfling is just a thin strip of whatever material you're going to use to accent the project. So I hope that helps. Yeah, purfling, just some thin strips used to, like I said, outline different areas of the instrument. Paul says, made a rosette out of cut walnut shells. Walnut shells. I filled it with a bit of epoxy. Walnut back and side, cedar top was a nice guitar. Man, that sounds cool. Nicholas says, for the classical rosettes, they don't do one at a time. They make like an 8-inch roll and then slice a single rosette off. Yes, you are correct. I probably explained that poorly. But yes, but each of the strip though is like assembled together. like glue this all up into the pattern, and then yes, they make like the log or whatever and slice it off. Um, but still, it's made up of individual tiny colored strips of wood. It's incredible. Sorry, I think I just worded that poorly, but yes, you're correct. Nicholas says, so it's not as bad as it first seems, but still amazing and a ton of work. Yes, that's what I was trying to say. It's just so much work and so much attention to detail that goes into it. It is incredible. Sam says, would an acoustic guitar sound good with a shaped sound reflector inside the body? I, to me, that sounds more like a resonator, and I love the sound of a resonator. I think it would sound good, but I don't think it would sound like an acoustic necessarily, or at least what we hear as an acoustic guitar. I think it would change the sound, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It just would be a different sound, like a resonator. It's an acoustic, but not. Robert says, have you watched any of the videos of Daisy Tempest? She builds acoustic guitars over in the UK. Yes, I have seen some of her videos. Yeah, she does good work. Oh, there you go, Harry Dude. Harry Dude says to Sam, have a look at resonator guitars, like on the cover of Dire Straits' Brothers in Arms album. Yep, that's it. Nicholas, there you go. Nicholas says 25.4. Yes, thank you. Thank you. That's exactly it. The OM is 25.4. What I'm calling an OM, I guess, is an auditorium model. It's 24.9. So half inch difference. I did think about changing this one to a 25.4 just to make it a true OM. But I don't know. I probably would stick with, for this one, I think I will stick with the 24.9, most likely. Who knows? I may decide to change it when it comes time to make the neck. I gotta double check that all the measurements work out okay. I think they would, for scale length and all that. I've been slacking on my coffee. Okay, Sam says, will do. Sorry for the delay. YouTube put that emotion add-on feature right over the chat log at the bottom. Yeah, there's buttons on my end too that are kind of in a weird spot, and I hit them from time to time. Robert says maybe use the rosette as is, but dye the purfling. So the reason that I was thinking of this maple is because this Port Orford cedar, it's not as white as like a spruce that I used on the first build. It's more of a earthy, I don't even know what you did, brown, light brown-ish, but not brown. And this elm that I'm going to use is also kind of brownish. This will darken up considerably when finish is applied. And so what I'm thinking though is I'm going to have a little bit of a browner top and a browner rosette. So I want the maple, like you can, don't drop it, break the thing. I wanted the maple to bring some light color to it, and I think it'll be kind of cool. That's the reason I was wanting to go with maple, and probably why I won't dye this time around. I'm going to use maple purfling here and maple purfling around the binding. I think what that's going to end up with is a very, I keep saying earthy color scheme on the whole guitar with the maple accents, and I think that's going to be cool. At least that's my thinking anyway. But I do want to play with that dye idea, with the a vacuum pot of some sort. I do want to try that. I think that's a great idea and definitely one worth exploring. Sam says 21 in the UK at the moment. I don't know what that is. 68, 67, something like that. I'm bad with the Celsius. I really am. I'm trying to get better at it. Robert says, sorry, my spelling sucks. No, you're good, man. No worries. Paul says, gotta go. Have a great week. Right on, Paul. You have a great week too, man. Have fun at work. And then motorcycling so you can build guitars. Robert says, have a great one, Paul. Stay safe and healthy. Richard says, awesome. It's outlined. LOL. Neon purple, green. I've seen done with blue, like blue purfling. In fact, I think Eric Schaefer did a parlor guitar with blue purfling strips. It's kind of a cool accent. Sam says, just blame Google for spelling errors. Works for me. It's all good. Nicholas says, maybe a food saver in a mason jar or Ziploc for a vacuum. That might work too. Big enough. Oh yeah, one of those food saver bags, those little vacuum sealers for food. You put your rosette in there, a little bit of the dye solution, seal it up in there, and then yeah, that's a good idea. I don't have one of those things, but I don't see why that wouldn't work. It vacuums everything out. I wonder though, I've never used one of those, so I can't say for sure. If you have liquid in there, does that seal it enough to where when it pulls a vacuum, the liquid's not going to get squished out? I would imagine if you're putting food, you can seal food in there. I don't see why it wouldn't work. Nicholas says, yep. Sam says, have you ever considered making a solar-powered power tool system in the event of a power loss? I have 100% considered that. Something similar to that is on my list of projects. I have a giant list of projects, and something like that is on there. A little portable thing, like maybe built into a small toolbox of some sort. It's got batteries and outlets and chargers and that sort of thing. It is something that I want to do. Plus, it'd be great to take like camping and stuff. So yeah, great idea. Nicholas says, not sure if the vacuum would be strong enough. Yeah, I don't know either. He says, it does pull the CO2 out of soda though. Huh. It might pull the bubbles out. I don't know. Or those, have you seen those clothes storage bags? You can buy these big bags, and then it comes with a little air pump thing, and you just hook it on there, and it's, instead of pumping air, it sucks all the air out. Something like that might work too. We might have one of those. It'd be big enough for, you could put purfling strips in there. You'd pour your dye stuff in there. It'd be a mess to clean up, but that might work. Sam says you could make a teardrop trailer for camping. Teardrop would be pretty cool. I have a friend of mine who had built one of those from scratch, basically, and it's super cool. Usually when if we go camping though, we're just packing the tent and roughing it. But it would be kind of cool. Neptune says, yeah, the vacuum bag will work. Just have to make sure you stop before the liquid starts coming out. Yes, that's my worry. What will liquid do? I've never tried liquid in a vacuum. Is it, as you're sucking it out, is it going to trap the liquid in there? Or is it going to try to suck the liquid out of there? I don't know. Scott says, if looking for a smaller vacuum system, they make the bags for skateboards. Saw this on a Stumpy Nubs video. Old Stumpy Nubs. Yeah, there's a place, I think it's called like Joe Woodworker or something like that. Kind of an interesting name, and not one that I would have expected. But they sell all kinds of vacuum supplies, bags, all the parts and pieces to build your own. Yeah, and I think it's a pretty good source from what I can tell. I've never ordered from them, but there's quite a few things on there that I wouldn't mind trying out. Robert says, Big D Guitars did a dyed quilted maple body using blues and turquoise, and it looked like waves. The upper section of the body was left natural, if I remember correctly. I feel like I've seen that one. It sounds really familiar. Sam says, there's airplanes and helicopters in your area. Yes, mainly airplanes, occasionally a helicopter. I don't live too far. There's an airport, and always the little Cessnas and stuff like that are out and about flying around. Liesel Cigar Box Guitar says, hi folks, good morning. How are you this fine Wednesday? Harry Dude says, could you put some filter paper in the vacuum bag to stop it sucking up the dye? You might be able to. I really don't know. Della says, how's the thickness of your back plate? I'm ready to plane my back plate, but I'm not sure how thick is acceptable. If you're working off a set of plans, most likely your plans will have the dimensions on there. Now, I believe mine, right now, my back plate, let's see. I'm just under 110 thousandths. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it. I think the plan says like 90. To me, that seems a little thin. You know, I can get that. You hear that little? I don't know if you can hear that sound. You know how like when you take a piece of metal and you whoa, 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 and it makes that like sound. This is doing that right here. I'm trying to get it where you can hear it, but probably not. I can barely hear it. I think this is where I'm going to stop. It doesn't have a bad sound. I think once it's braced up under some tension, it's gonna come alive a little bit. At least that's what my last one did. So I think I'm gonna stop here. Like I said, I think my plan says 90 thousandths for the back and sides. I feel like it's. I'll probably go 90 thousandths for the sides. I feel. Maybe it's just because, I'm only on my second one. I don't think I want to go thinner than that on the back. It's probably just fine. Otherwise, they wouldn't put it on the plan. But I'm probably going to stop here. I'll go 90 thousandths for the sides and see how it bends. Maybe 88, somewhere around there, but right around 90. So I'm just under 110 on this one. And like I said, I think that's where I'm going to stop. Let's see. So Neptune says it'll be trapped, but towards the end of the vacuuming, the liquid will try to come out. You can do that with chicken and marinade. Oh, keep the chicken, keep them. I never thought about that. Freezing it or packaging it with marinade in there. That's a good idea. I might have to experiment with that. Liesel says, very well, thank you. Right on. Sam says you can make dollhouses for extra income. Yeah, I don't really have time for that necessarily. Harry Dude says, world's prettiest wobble board. Wobble, 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 wobble. Robert said, with some, I've seen use a type of cloth to soak up the excess resin when using a vacuum. Oh, maybe like a cheesecloth or something. Sam says, perhaps look at the Philips Hue. Some awesome kits. I've seen some cool stuff. Yeah. Neptune's, it pulls the marinade into the chicken. I could see that. Henry says, have a good one, guys. Right on, Henry. Have an awesome one. Good luck setting up that shop. And we're excited to hear how you make out. Robert said, with the way your first acoustic turned out and the way it sounded, I would say you do it the way you did that one. Yeah, yeah, and that's kind of what I did with that one. I did not go down to the plan. I went down to where I felt comfortable, and it seemed to have worked. So, alrighty. Well, guys, got any last minute questions, comments, or suggestions? As we are well upon the hour, and I'm gonna wrap this up here and get to fitting a rosette with the purfling. Sam says, I missed the last Saturday stream. I don't typically do a live on Saturday. Saturday, sometimes Sunday, is when I post project videos. The live streams are only on Wednesdays. So if you want to hang out in the lives, be here, 9 a.m. Mountain Time. Whatever that is your time. I don't know. But yeah, weekends are for project videos. Live streams are Wednesdays. Shorts here and there as I get them done. But Dallas says, actually, I plan to do with over 120, but maybe I should go to at least 110. I'm not telling you exactly where to go to. Go to where you go to where you're comfortable. You know, if you want to go at 120, I believe my last one, the first acoustic, I think it was closer to 120. I didn't take it quite as far because I still felt that it was too thin. So don't do it just because that's what I'm doing. Do it because you feel like that's the right choice. I hope that makes sense. Maybe do a little research, see what others have taken it to. Worst case, check your plan. See what your plan says. But don't do it just because that's what I'm doing. I'm not experienced enough to tell you that's where you need to be. You could be at 120 and be perfectly fine. In fact, I think that's where Eric Schaefer takes his in his online building course, which I used as a huge resource on my last build. I think it was around 120. So don't feel like you have to take it less. Harry Dude says, take it easy, folks. Catch you all next week. Sam says, thanks for the fantastic stream. Thank you, Neptune, for your time today. You're awesome. Right on, guys. All right, we're going to wrap this up. I got to get busy here. So thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button. Show the old YouTubes that this is like the funnest live stream in all of the land. Right on, guys. Thanks for taking some time out of your day. I appreciate all of you. Let's get back to work. Hope you get out there, build some things in your shops, whatever. Get to working on some stuff. Hope you all have an awesome week. Stay safe, stay well, and like always, we'll see you guys next time. Hit the button. I pressed the button. It's right there. And it didn't end. You guys get like outtakes even on the lives. Later, guys.